Everybody's talking about how bad the job market is right now. But honestly, that doesn't have to stop you from landing your first internship. I got my first internship at a mid-sized nonprofit, and that experience helped me land 3 more at Fortune 500 companies. This is part of my mini-series on securing your first internship. My first piece of advice would be start close to home. If you're looking for a summer internship and you're going to be at your parents' house, or if you're looking for an internship at school, look at the local businesses that you already frequent, that you already go to, and think of maybe some unconventional locations. I think a great strategy is to go somewhere where the business owner already knows you, or a nonprofit you're already a part of, whether that be a religious organization or somewhere you volunteer. And I would say go to these places and ask them, would you be interested in having an intern? Is there some value I could provide to you? And I have 2 great examples here. One that is for computer science students and something I actually did myself at my first internship at that mid-sized nonprofit. And another that is more for engineering students. And honestly, both of these could go either way. I think it's great for engineers to have coding skills, and I think it's great for CS students to learn more about the engineering mindset, since in my mind, they're super close. So jumping right in, the CS example would be offer, can I do a website redo for you? Maybe if they have an old website, they don't have a website, that would be something that you can offer them that would look great on a resume, help you learn a lot, but also would be something that would be fun and enjoyable and useful to them. Another thing would be maybe a database cleanup, or maybe they have everything in Excel and you're offering to code them a database. That one would definitely be a bit more complex, and it may be iffy depending on if the data that they're storing is sensitive or if it's non-sensitive. But if it's something unsensitive, that would be a great project. Or even small automations, maybe right now they're using Excel for everything. Maybe you can make them a Power Automate workflow. Something like that would be super useful and something you could kind of pitch when you're talking to these business owners that you already know. Another great example would be more for the engineers, but like I said, could be for anybody. Would be maybe you want to do a system redesign. Maybe they have their system for tracking customer calls and you're like, okay, how could we redesign this? How could we make it better? Along the same line, a workflow improvement, is there something in their workflow that could be smoother? Could you take out some steps? I think that's a great thing to look at, and definitely has a very operational mindset and is great for engineers to practice. Of course, you could also do small automations, or maybe there's a little thing that would be useful to them that you could design in CAD and 3D print for them. Something like that would be very small and still super useful to the business, and I think that's a great way to get yourself in and also learn a ton while you're at it and have something that may actually be used versus a personal project that may not have as much application. And so not everything valuable is posted online, and when you're looking for your first internship and trying to secure that first interview, go to these small places that may love your help and you just may never see online. I think this is a great way to get in, get started, learn a lot, have a great time, and also benefit your local community. My next piece of advice would be to use your network. And one thing I hear a lot from my peers and other students is, I don't have a network. I've never worked a corporate job. Maybe I've never worked a job at all. And while that is definitely valid, I think sometimes that's coming from the wrong point of view. I would say when you're looking at your network, of course you have your network, that's your first-hand network, that's your friends. But there's that second-hand network, and that could be your friend's parents, or when you're at a siblings event, the person you sit next to. It really could be anybody who has a connection to you, is associated with you, and somebody that you know. And of course, the start close advice is relying on that network. But for this, I'd think about maybe one of your friends, their parents works at a company you'd love to work at, and they could help you get a referral, connect you with the right recruiter, And things like that are so important and help so much. And the bar is so low. Very few students ever ask. And as somebody who has referred a lot of different friends, I love helping people out. If somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I'm really struggling, do you know of anything? I am so excited to help them out, get their name out there, set them up with hiring managers or recruiters, get them in the recruitment pipeline. I think that is something that is so amazing. And if more people asked, so many people would be excited to do it. People are generally stoked if a young person is interested in their line of work. And I would say rely on those connections, that network, and remember to ask early. Like, if you're planning to do a summer internship, be thinking about that like the year before, and then you'll be able to really find who in your network may be useful, and maybe they can set up some coffee chats or little Zoom meetings, and that'll be something that'll be so great for introductions and make it so much easier to get internships at those bigger companies or even like local companies. But it's a great way to really use the people around you and your community, and people are most of the time going to be so happy to help you and really want to help you out, especially in my experience and how I do now for other people. Now, my next piece of advice may seem obvious to some people, but it's to use your school resources. Part of what you're paying for in college is the career opportunities and the school resources regarding resume rewrites, regarding career fairs, and making sure that you're using those things that you are definitely paying for in your student fees well. So I would say the strategy for this definitely depends on if you're going to a big state school / public Ivy, or if you're going to a smaller school or like a regional state school. I would say there's a bit of a different approach. So I actually went to both. I went to a public Ivy and like a small regional school. And so I feel like there's definitely a different approach to take for both. The first side, if you're like on that big school, public Ivy side, is using your career fairs. If you're at a prestigious institution or a very well-known institution, everybody wants students from those schools. And so I would focus on going to career fairs, staying there as long as you can. But maybe if you know it's overstimulating or you don't love career fairs, take 10 resumes, go to at least 10 tables. I think that's a great strategy to get your name out there, practice your pitch, get a little light interview practice, and who knows, maybe you'll end up with a great opportunity. I've gotten interviews and internships from relationships that I made at career fairs, and I think this is a super beneficial thing you can do. And it's so easy if you're at these giant schools where there's literally hundreds or thousands of companies that are going to them. I would say also, if you're at these schools, a lot of times the alumni or your friends' parents are going to be super successful. They are going to have very advanced careers, not all the time, but I would say in general, and rely on these networks. The alumni network is there for your benefit. Make sure that's something that you're using. I would say the largest thing for this is network aggressively, because you are surrounded by so many people who probably have great connections to opportunities, and you're in a place where so many companies want to have you. My advice for smaller and state schools would be, firstly, also go to career fairs. They are super beneficial and you can get so many great opportunities from them. If you're at a smaller school, it'll likely be more regional companies instead of like at a bigger school where it would be giant companies that are either across the whole country or international. I would also say these programs are often underused. For example, like at a big school, the career center is often overwhelmed, but at a small school, there are advisors there who are happy to help you the whole way through, to guide you through the process. And a lot of students just aren't using these. So go get your resume rewrite, go meet with an advisor, see if they have any college connections. I think that's a common thing that lots of institutions have, is specific companies that are recruiting for specific majors. See if you can get in on that. Maybe mock interviews, they might have those. Those are all super beneficial things that you can do to prepare, but also to make those connections. I would also say a lot of times small schools will have very established programs that help students get into professional roles. For me, that was like women in technology. They were so beneficial because I was easily able to get into that small group, and they had great connections within the community to help students get internships. And I feel like that's an amazing thing to get into. I would say at these schools, the biggest thing is use your resources. There's inherently less people, but normally about the same amount of resources. So get your money's worth and use all of the opportunities that you have there. And you got this. The last thing I want to talk about is why this all matters. Firstly, you need to remember your first internship doesn't have to be flashy. The goal should be to gain transferable skills that you can take with you into other internships, learn a lot, and contribute to a business, understand how business works, how being an individual contributor works. I would also say remember that experience compounds, that your first experience is not going to be the sum of everything you learn. What you learn in the first one, you might learn 3 times more in the next one. And as you're learning things, try to apply them to other aspects of things you've learned in school or areas you're interested in. Also, remember that your first internship is just a gateway to bigger opportunities later. It's a launch pad. Use it like that, learn as much as you can, and get on to bigger and better things. Now, to wrap this video up, firstly, I want to say your first internship doesn't need to be flashy. Remember that the goal of your first internship is to gain experience and find some transferable skills that you can take with you as you continue in your career, and things that can help you to get that next internship. I'd also say remember that experience compounds. What you learn in the first internship, you'll probably learn 3 times more in the next one, and it's like an exponential curve. As you learn one thing, you'll learn more, and you'll get deeper and deeper, and you'll become a better professional and a better individual contributor. I'd also say know that that first internship is just the launch pad for getting bigger opportunities later. Don't worry about the specifics, just focus on getting that first interview and then that first internship, learning as much as you can. So look forward to my next video once you have your first interview about what to know before your first interview, going through the ins and outs of the interview process from somebody who's done it many times before. Bye!